guys, today's topic is She-Hulk, the comic book character from Marvel Comics. How I came across it? Well, I started reading Marvel in 2019 after binging the MCU up to Endgame, and then after that binging the X-Men movies. And the X-Men movies, I was just like, okay, I'm obsessed with this. I need more of this, right? So that's what got me into reading the comics. And so when I was reading Marvel, I was doing research on Marvel, which led to me finding out about She-Hulk. And then eventually I started Dan Slott's comic book run. And that's what got me hooked on her. But I probably had read the first issue of Savage She-Hulk beforehand. Okay, so what I've read thus far. She-Hulk Volume 1. Okay, so with comics, the adjective is important, or if there's no adjective. So, for example, She-Hulk's first comic would be Savage She-Hulk, right? That would be like Volume 1. And that is in like 1980s. So that would be Savage She-Hulk Volume 1. But in the 2000s, she had a comic book series just called She-Hulk. No adjective, okay? And that is what I'm referring to here. Okay, so I have read She-Hulk Volume 1, 1 to 12. She-Hulk Volume 2, Issues 1 and 8 to 9. Who I would recommend it for? Literally everyone. I'm not even kidding. Okay, so this isn't a facts channel, so take what I say with a grain of salt. But what does it seem like to me? Okay, well, Jennifer Walters is a lawyer who got her powers after defending a gangster who had been double-crossed by Nicholas Trask, a crime boss. And Jennifer spread the rumor that she had evidence to incriminate Trask, which led to him sending agents of his to shoot her. Her cousin, Bruce Banner, also known as the Hulk, another Marvel comic book character, was visiting and fended off the attackers and broke into a doctor's office to treat her. And realizing there was no other way to save her, gave her a blood transfusion, which led to some of his gamma radiated particles in his blood to go into her, giving her the ability to transform into a much taller and a bigger, but not to the extent of like Bruce Banner, where he transforms into a huge, gigantic green monster, right? No, for She-Hulk, she transforms into a much taller and a bigger version of herself, but not to that extent. She gets super strength and hugely increased durability. Now, with Hulk's comics, when he first would transform into the Hulk, he wasn't like, it was like there were two different personalities, right? There was two, you had the Hulk, and then you had Banner, right? And so whenever he would transform into the Hulk, it was like a different person, right? And they were sort of aware of each other, but they were different. And so eventually, over time, he kind of ended up being able to be the Hulk, but have his personality as well. For She-Hulk, she pretty much automatically had that. Okay, so in Dan Slott's comic, She-Hulk works for a law company, GLK H, specializing in superhuman law, which have some super fun features, like the ability to flood a room when it involves creatures that need water. They also use comic books that we read, which also exist in the Marvel continuity and have been approved by the heroes, and because of some comic act, are legally viable for use. So, think like how we're literally reading this comic, right? So this comic exists. It's like the story has then been published in the Marvel universe as well. Think kind of like how like we have a book of non-fiction events, right? That's like that for them. And because of some comic act, I don't know what it is, but some comic act, right? Are legally viable for them to use like in court. It's so cool. So this has led to her using like the Infinity Gauntlet event as an argument that's won her a case. She's also was invited and joined the Living Tribunal. Their magistrati, that is, and acted as a judge for cases across time and space. For example, a race suing one of the Watchers for invasion of privacy. Lots of fun spins on cases, like if somebody was recorded point blank killing somebody and the video went viral, but the client says that guy was going to kill him because he's from the future or could read his mind. I can't remember it exactly, but something along those lines, right? Then to get an unbiased jury, they involve the Time Variance Authority and get jurors from back in time before the event occurred. She also visits Hank Pym's big house. And so Hank Pym is a comic book character known as Ant-Man who uses pills, right, that he would have and they would allow him to shrink down. And then eventually he made one so that he could get big, right? And so he has this maximum security prison where inmates are shrunken and look like ants. So they can be watched easier and kept in prison easier. So she visits that. And so if you're getting the vibe, like, Dan Slott's She-Hulk, it is the most creative comic I've read. It is so fun. And that's why I feel like everybody would love it. Like, I honestly just couldn't picture anybody not liking this. But, yeah, that's it. Hopefully I convinced you to either start Marvel Comics for She-Hulk or start Dan Slott's run. Yeah. Okay, I will keep you guys updated via like an episodic reaction on when I end up reading more She-Hulk. Yeah. Okay. Bye.